You're just a janitor. Your only job here is to clean. Stop pretending you understand business. People like you need to know your place." The words echoed through the glass-walled boardroom as Brad Mitchell's face turned red with anger. His finger around the conference table, a dozen executives sat frozen, watching this heated confrontation unfold. Sarah Johnson stood there, her cleaning cart beside her, tears welling up in her eyes, but her back straight with quiet dignity. For 3 years she had endured the whispers, the dismissive looks, the condescending remarks. But this public humiliation in front of leadership was different. Brad's voice grew louder, more vicious. "I don't know why you think you can interrupt our meeting and act like you belong here. You clean toilets for a living." Nobody in that building knew who Sarah Johnson really was. They saw only the uniform, the mop, the night shift hours. They never looked deeper. Sarah Johnson was 45 years old. For the past 3 years, she worked as the janitor at Global Tech Industries. But Sarah wasn't just any janitor. As she cleaned the empty offices, she wore earbuds and listened to podcasts from around the world. French news, German business shows, Japanese programs, Chinese cultural discussions. What no one at Global Tech knew, Sarah had a secret. She was once Dr. Sarah Johnson, a respected professor who taught linguistics in Africa. She spoke 17 languages fluently. But her life had been torn apart by war. She lost her husband, her children, her home, her job. With nothing but grief and the clothes on her back, she fled to America. In the U.S., her education and credentials meant nothing without the right paperwork and connections. Overcome with loss, she took the only work she could find, cleaning buildings. She never complained. She worked quietly, professionally, and invisibly. The company's CEO was Marcus Wellington, 38 years old, smart, educated, and determined, but struggling. Global Tech was trying to expand internationally, but every deal collapsed. They lost millions in Japan, France, Germany, and elsewhere. Marcus faced enormous pressure from the board, who questioned his ability to lead. Among his executives, some doubted him, while others simply made excuses. Jessica Morrison, the HR director, loved to boast about inclusion but ignored bias in practice. The security guard, David Chin, a kind retired officer, was the only one who treated Sarah with respect. But Brad Mitchell, an arrogant junior executive, delighted in mocking her. Every night, Sarah overheard executives in their glass conference rooms botching international negotiations. They mispronounced names, ignored cultural etiquette, and offended potential partners. Sarah knew exactly why the deals failed. She had studied these cultures all her life. One evening, she overheard Marcus and his team lamenting the collapse of a $50 million deal with a German car company. The Germans had walked away, citing cultural incompetence. Sarah wanted to shout out the obvious mistakes, but she was invisible. Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Sarah was still cleaning the executive floors when Brad Mitchell and Jessica Morrison arrived early for their presentation. "Oh, great," Brad said loudly when he saw her. "The cleaning lady is still here, taking forever to do a simple job." Jessica laughed. As they rehearsed for their German client meeting, Sarah overheard them mangling German names. Without thinking, she whispered the correct pronunciations. Brad's head snapped toward her. "Did the janitor just try to correct us?" he snarled. Jessica smirked. Employees gathered, watching. Brad stepped closer. "You don't understand your place here. Repeat after me. I am just a janitor and don't belong in conversations with educated people." "I can't say that," Sarah whispered. "You can't follow instructions," Brad raged. Jessica piled on, threatening to report her for insubordination. The crowd said nothing. Humiliated, Sarah walked away as Brad warned her. "One more incident, and you're gone." That very morning, the German deal collapsed, exactly for the mistakes Sarah had tried to prevent. Global Tech lost $50 million. Months later, Sarah was cleaning during a late-night board meeting when executives struggled with a French client on speakerphone. None of them understood the language. Without thinking, Sarah translated critical terms in perfect French. The room froze. Marcus turned to her. "Did you just speak French?" Sarah lifted her head. "I have a PhD in linguistics. I speak 17 languages fluently." The boardroom went silent. Brad's jaw dropped. Marcus, skeptical but intrigued, asked her to prove it. Sarah spoke flawless German, then switched effortlessly into Japanese, French, Mandarin, and more. The executive stared in disbelief. Marcus pressed further. "You said 17 languages." "Which ones?" Sarah listed them. She explained her past consulting work with international companies, how she trained executives, built cultural strategies, and guided successful expansions. When Marcus asked why she was working as a janitor, Sarah quietly told her story: the war, the loss of her family, fleeing to America, taking cleaning jobs to survive. "Would you be willing to help us?" Marcus asked, his voice steady. Sarah, tears in her eyes, answered, "I've been waiting 3 years for someone to ask me that." Marcus didn't waste time. "We have a Japanese client, Tanaka Industries. We've been trying to close for months. Would you help us on a video call?" Sarah's heart raced. After 3 years of invisibility, here was her chance. "I would be honored." Within 30 minutes, the call was arranged. Word spread quickly through the office. Employees crowded around the glass walls, whispering about the janitor suddenly sitting beside the CEO. Before the call, Marcus asked, "What should I know?" Sarah's transformation was striking. She explained calmly, "In Japanese business culture, greetings are crucial. We must show respect for their company's history before discussing business, and we must never rush them. Patience is essential." The call began. Mr. Tanaka appeared on screen, dignified in his suit. Sarah bowed respectfully and spoke in flawless Japanese, her tone formal and polite. She thanked him for his time, praised his company's achievements, and framed Global Tech's proposal with deep cultural awareness. Marcus and his executives couldn't understand the words, but they could see the change. Mr. Tanaka leaned forward, engaged, his body language warm. For over an hour, Sarah guided the conversation. She knew Japanese business etiquette, manufacturing trends, even recent industry news that impressed Tanaka's team. At the end, Mr. Tanaka smiled and spoke enthusiastically. "What did he say?" Marcus asked breathlessly. Sarah translated, her face glowing. "He said, 'Finally, someone from Global Tech understands how to do business properly. We want to move forward.' He's sending his team to finalize details." The room erupted. After months of failure, the deal was alive, thanks to Sarah. Word spread like wildfire. The janitor had closed a Japanese deal. By the next morning, everyone in the building was talking about Sarah Johnson. Some were awed, others uncomfortable. Marcus called an emergency board meeting. The boardroom was full, tension high. He began, "For 2 years, our international efforts have failed. Yesterday, in one phone call, we succeeded. And the person who made it happen was not in our international division. She was cleaning our offices." He played security footage of Brad berating Sarah. The words, "You're just a janitor," filled the room. Board members shifted uncomfortably. Marcus introduced her properly. "Board members, meet Dr. Sarah Johnson. PhD in linguistics, fluent in 17 languages. International consultant with over 15 years of experience." Sarah stepped forward in a simple professional outfit. Her confidence was striking. She presented a detailed analysis of why Global Tech's deals had failed: cultural mistakes, language errors, inappropriate strategies, and proposed solutions for each market. Her projected revenue numbers stunned the room. Hundreds of millions in potential growth. Then came the uncomfortable questions. Why hadn't she spoken up sooner? Sarah's answer was clear. "For 3 years, no one asked. No one looked past my uniform." The truth settled heavily on the room. The room sat in silence until Brad Mitchell finally spoke, defensive and dismissive. "Let's not get carried away. Anyone can claim they have a PhD. We can't just promote the cleaning staff because of a story." The board's faces darkened. Dr. Patricia Chen, a board member, snapped, "Mr. Mitchell, are you suggesting Dr. Johnson is lying?" Brad stammered, "I'm saying we should verify before making drastic decisions." Marcus cut him off. "Her credentials have been verified. More importantly, yesterday she accomplished in one phone call what our international division couldn't in 8 months." Sarah addressed Brad directly, calm and composed. "Mr. Mitchell, for 3 years you treated me with disrespect because you only saw a janitor. That says more about your perspective than my worth." I don't expect an apology, but I hope you learn to look more carefully before dismissing others." The board watched, captivated by her grace. Robert Hayes leaned forward. "How many other talented people are we overlooking because of narrow definitions of expertise?" Marcus presented his recommendation. "We offer Dr. Sarah Johnson the position of Director of International Relations to lead our expansion and train our teams." The vote was unanimous. Applause filled the room. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as recognition finally replaced invisibility. The board also demanded a review of hiring practices to prevent similar blind spots. As for Brad Mitchell, his fate was sealed. His harassment, arrogance, and failure to recognize talent made him a liability. His contract was terminated immediately. Security escorted him out of the building that afternoon. Jessica Morrison, the HR director who had enabled bias through silence, was demoted to a lower role and required to undergo diversity training. That same day, Sarah was officially offered her new position. Her salary tripled, but more importantly, she could finally use her knowledge and passion. "Sarah," Marcus said as he handed her the offer letter, "this isn't charity. You're exactly what this company needs." Her response was simple. "You're giving me the chance to do what I was always meant to do. I won't let you down." That night in her small apartment, Sarah stared at the offer letter in disbelief. Her walls were covered with diplomas and papers that had seemed worthless for years. Now they meant something again. She called her sister, recounting every detail through tears. "Mom and Papa would be so proud," her sister said. "You never gave up." Her elderly aunt wept with joy. "Child, I always knew knowledge is like water, it finds its way." 6 months later, global tech was unrecognizable. Under Sarah's leadership, international revenue grew by 300%, making it one of the fastest-growing tech companies in global markets. From her first day as Director of International Relations, Sarah knew the company needed a new kind of team. She didn't search only among traditional corporate candidates. Instead, she sought out overlooked talent, people whose skills had been buried beneath survival jobs. She hired Maria Gonzalez, a Mexican professor working as a translator, Dr. Ahmed, an Egyptian engineer with a PhD, who had been driving for a rideshare company, Kenji Tanaka, a Japanese business expert working in a restaurant while fighting for a visa, Dr. Priya Sharma, an Indian economist substitute teaching while trying to break into the corporate world. Within months, Sarah assembled the most diverse and qualified team global tech had ever seen. Each member brought not just professional expertise, but lived cultural knowledge that proved invaluable. Results came quickly. The German automotive deal not only revived but expanded to include 3 new companies. The Japanese partnership opened doors to 5 more. Corporations. Deals were struck in France, Brazil, South Korea, India, and beyond. Sarah also transformed the company culture. She created cultural training programs for employees working with international clients, detailed guides on etiquette, and even gift-giving customs. Most importantly, she launched a mentorship program for immigrant professionals, connecting skilled newcomers with established employees. Within 6 months, dozens of talented immigrants found meaningful employment, not only at Global Tech, but in other companies too. Marcus was stunned. In his quarterly address, he said, "6 months ago, we were hemorrhaging money. Today, our international division is our most profitable. And it happened not because of expensive consultants, but because we finally recognized the talent already in our building. Dr. Johnson didn't just save us millions. She taught us that our greatest assets may be the people we overlook." Global Tech stock soared. Business magazines featured Sarah's story. Other companies began questioning their own hiring biases. Universities added Global Tech's transformation as a case study. 2 years later, Sarah delivered a keynote at Oxford University, speaking on cultural competency and business success. Standing at the same podium where she once defended her dissertation, she reflected on her journey, from janitor to executive. At Global Tech's annual orientation, Sarah made it her tradition to welcome every group of new employees personally. 2 years earlier, she had been the invisible janitor cleaning those same floors. Now she stood before 40 new hires as Director of International Relations. 2 years ago, she began, I was the night janitor in this building. Most of you never would have noticed me, just another person in a uniform, invisible. But every person in this building has a story, skills and knowledge you may not see on the surface. She told them, the person cleaning. Your office might be a former teacher, the security guard, could be a talented artist. The cafeteria. Worker might hold a degree in engineering. The quiet colleague in the corner might speak 5 languages. Look deeper, Sarah urged. Start conversations. Ask questions. You may discover that the person you least expect has exactly the insight or skill you need. The new employees gave her a standing ovation. Many were immigrants themselves, or people who had struggled to have their talents recognized. Back in her office overlooking the city, Sarah kept reminders of where she started. Her certificates and awards filled the walls, but she never forgot the night shift. At 10 p.m. each evening, she walked the building, greeting the custodial staff by name, asking about their families, reminding them their work was valued. She instituted an open-door policy. Any employee, no matter their job, could schedule time with her to share ideas. Many of the company's most innovative initiatives came from those conversations. Global tech became known not just for technology, but for its culture of inclusion and recognition. Sarah's mentorship program helped over 200 immigrant professionals find meaningful work. Cultural competency training spread to dozens of other companies. The international division became the company's pride and a model for others. Her journey proved something powerful. When organizations look beyond assumptions and create space for everyone to contribute, success follows. Sarah's story was no longer just about her. It was about every overlooked employee, every hidden talent, every person judged by a uniform or accent instead of their potential. The janitor who spoke. 17 languages had become the executive who opened doors for countless others, and that was the most beautiful transformation of all.